Good morning. Here we go again. I'm back. After a miserable failed attempt at streaming on the road, I have returned. Oh, it's good to be home too. I tell you what, it's always fun to travel. It's always fun to go someplace new. But I'm somebody who very much likes my routine. And so once I get to come back home, I'm always very excited about it. Hey, what's up, Gun? How are you? Excuse me, sorry. Ugh. Yeah. I wish it was vacation. It was actually it was a work trip. So it was a lot of work. So we did. It was basically like my company's annual user conference. So like if you know how like Microsoft does MS Build or Salesforce does I think they call their conference Dreamforce or something like that. It kind of basically the similar thing. But it is fun. I mean, we host a bunch of our users and we get to reconnect with a lot of people that we normally only see like once a year, and so it is good times. Just gonna pin that message. And I was gonna create an event in Discord because people seem to use that. Man, today's October 17th. Can you believe that? It's almost halfway through October. Crazy. Crazy. All right. I think we took care of all the housekeeping things for the most part. I think um I think I'm gonna keep working on my gun. I had a great time, but was missing you in streams. Anyway, hope it was a great working trip with a lot of fruits of work. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was good times. Yeah, it was good times to hang out and visit with coworkers that you don't normally get to see in person since a lot of our company is remote. It was good times to interact with clients and customers. Yeah, I can't complain. We were in Nashville, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with Nashville, but there's kind of this trope around that city that like everybody who wants to be a singer-songwriter or a musician kind of ends up there. And yeah, it's that is a real thing. It was like everywhere you went, there was somebody playing live music, which was really cool because you could basically just like stroll down the street and walk into like five different bars and restaurants and see live music whenever you wanted. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of crazy, kind of crazy. Let's see, what are we gonna do today? So I actually, I had a funny email that I received this week while I was gone. Um, me see if I can pull it up without exposing sensitive information. Yeah, I think this is okay. Yeah, I don't think this has anything sensitive. So I received this email this week from somebody at Anthropic named Felix, and apparently Anthropic is going to release a native C# SDK. So if you guys didn't know, I had spent part of this last year building a Anthropic client library for C#, to basically make it easier for C# developers to work with the Anthropic API. But I published it as Anthropic client, and so apparently they would like to take ownership of this package since it has Anthropic in the top level namespace. So they were very kind. They were really nice. They just asked me to republish the SDK and then transfer ownership of the original one to them, which it's not really any skin off my back. So I actually need to take care of that at some point. So I think I'm just going to add an issue in here. Let's see. Rename package and transfer existing package ID to Anthropic. Anthropic will soon be releasing their own C#. I'll be interested to see what their, like, it'll be kind of interesting to see what their C# SDK looks like compared to what I wrote, you know? So I'm kind of excited for them to get it published. Hey, Suos, how are you? It's kind of interesting. I see your guys' full usernames now. Normally you just show up as Suhas, but now you display a Suhas 2250 or 2250. Kind of interesting. Let's see. Anthropic will soon be releasing their own. Maybe we should probably also do like a video about it on my channel whenever they release it. Anthropic will soon be releasing their own C# SDK. They have requested that this package be republished under a different top level namespace that does not include the word Anthropic or Claude. They will then assume ownership of the existing package ID. If they were to publish under this package ID, it would be published as a new major version to indicate it is a breaking change. So yeah, I think this will be relatively straightforward to do. I just need to sit down and do it at some point. This is a chore. It also makes me think that I probably don't need to spend much more time on this SDK because we should probably, as a C# community, we should probably use the official provided one, unless there's a super good reason to have existing open source versions available. I did find it kind of interesting. The email that they sent me about this, NuGet.org, actually was pretty clear that, like, I don't really have a choice Because the NuGet.org team, their response basically said, let me see. You seem to not really have a choice, because the NuGet team says, please respond to this email within 30 days. If you do not respond, we will add user NuGet Gallery Anthropic as an owner of your package. So it seems like if somebody can prove that they should have that reserved namespace, like Anthropic dot whatever or Microsoft dot whatever, they just kind of get it, unfortunately. So, which I don't really care. I think that's kind of it's kind of a really good reason to make sure you publish things under a particular namespace that's yours, whether that be some sort of like developer name or business name, or even just like Stephen Freeborn dot something, you know? Okay, I'm not gonna make you guys sit through while I do that chore though. I just wanted to make sure I log it. I think we'll keep working on the blog agent, which I made a little bit of progress this week off stream. Not a ton, so it's not like you guys are like completely way far behind, but some. What bro is doing today? I think we're gonna keep working on the blog agent. I think is what we're gonna do. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. Excuse me. Oh, sorry guys. Bear with me as we we get back into the stream schedule here. All right, let me make sure. I'm gonna check real quick. I'm gonna make sure I pushed all my changes. See, I'm missing one thing. Let's see, get diff. Yeah, I think that's okay. Okay, all my changes are off my laptop. That's good. And so we should be able to just do git pull and be off to the races. What is the time over there? It's 4:32 a.m. So I'm in the Central Standard Time zone. So it's a little early. I basically what I do now in terms of like stream schedule and timing is basically I go to bed, I wake up, I try to wake up like at 4 or a little bit before 4. I get up, I basically run straight downstairs. I pull a couple shots of espresso as quickly as possible. Or I guess brush my teeth, pull a couple shots of espresso as quickly as possible, run a brush through my hair so I don't have like terrible bedhead, and then come straight down here and start streaming. So it takes me, I got to get warmed up. All right, so just a brief recap of some. Hey, Richard, thanks for the subscription, man. I appreciate you. A brief recap of some of the stuff I worked on while I was away. I didn't do a ton. Like I'll be honest, I didn't. It's not like I completely finished the app in how many ever days. So I guess what I want to tell you about. The first thing is the writer. Not the writer, the interviewer. I basically refactored the response from my interview executor to provide a strongly typed response. So instead of it just being like a bunch of text dumped out as a string at the end of all this, it actually returns a strongly typed object that I'm calling a topic brief. The idea here being that if I can turn the text into structured text, then I can convert it to whatever format I want, however I'd like to do that. So I've got a couple methods on this type that allow me to convert it to text. I can also convert it to Markdown. I can convert it to JSON. So if I wanted to kind of experiment with different formats with my prompts, I can. So as long as I have that structured representation, I can transform it to whatever final representation I want. So I have that going for me. What else did I do? Then I worked on the research agent. And the researcher now kind of does a similar thing where it takes in that topic brief. So obviously the interviewer kind of helps flesh out what the hell the user is trying to tell us they want to like write about in a particular blog. And then the researcher basically takes that brief and performs research on it. And the way we're doing our research is we are using Gemini's built-in Gemini has built-in support for Google search, which is kind of cool. So that kind of saves us the time from having to implement our own like web search, web crawl functionality, which does mean we're a little coupled to Gemini at this point, but I'm okay with it at this point. Like I'm okay right now in this stage. Like if we need to be able to swap in and out providers, we can always implement our own. But this will be fine for now. Save us some time and effort. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It basically just tells Gemini, hey, if you need to, you should try to ground whatever your responses are in some real world data, right? Or some real world examples. And then they also return all that metadata to you. So I'm not really making use of this metadata quite yet at the moment. I don't really have need to, but they do return to you exactly like what sources they're using and what pieces of their response are grounded by what sources, which is pretty neat. I mean, that's pretty valuable. I think Anthropic has a similar provided web search tool now, Anthropic API, which I'm guessing is where a lot of these model providers are going to go, right? Instead of you trying to always invent your own, like they're probably going to look at what's the most common tool usage that people are sending to us, and we'll just provide like a hosted version of that tool. See, Anthropic API docs. There we go. Is it? There we go. API reference. Uh-oh. There's no docs. What happened? Saba, do you use Vim? I use NeoVim. So I use Vim occasionally. Well, not occasionally. I use Vim basically as my primary editor whenever I'm doing something on like any of my Linux servers. I'll use Vim to edit things. But for like actually writing code or working on projects like this, I'll use NeoVim. Because NeoVim seems to be a little bit more extensible. Like it seems like you can configure NeoVim into something that sort of approximates a VS Code like experience, which is VS Code has historically been my editor of choice. And I still use it. Like I still use VS Code. But yeah, I do use Vim or NeoVim, and I do use Vim Motions. I think Vim Motions are probably the biggest value add that I've gotten from using NeoVim. Excuse me. Yeah, here we go. So web search tool. I am bored, so I'm making Tetris. Nice. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. I don't know why you're bored though. I mean, how can you be bored? There's so much to do. Oh yeah, I forgot. So I also forgot about your brother. He fractured his arm, right? Did he have to get a cast? Muaz, how are you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, so it looks like Anthropic also provides their own web search tool. So if we needed to swap between providers, we could probably make it work. But at the moment, yes, I'm a little bit coupled to Gemini API. One thing that was kind of interesting, I will tell you this. I found this out after like a couple hours of frustration in the hotel room on Wednesday night or Thursday night. Is whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Abdullah, I saw you do .NET in previous streams. You're a QA engineer, right? What testing library do you use in work? I am a junior backend developer. I haven't started with unit testing, and I'm looking to learn. Well, hello, Abdullah. Yes, I do work in .NET quite a bit. I also work in TypeScript quite a bit, and yes, I do work as a QA engineer. So most of my work at my job has been focused around end-to-end automation for a web application. So we've primarily been using Playwright. So if you're looking for something to do end-to-end test automation, I couldn't recommend Playwright enough. They do have a .NET library. We chose to write ours in the Node SDK using TypeScript just because Playwright has a really nice test runner in TypeScript. And so it has a lot of features in that test runner that make the out-of-the-box experience very pleasant. At work, far less of my time has been spent on doing unit testing. However, recently we have started introducing unit testing, and for that, in our .NET code base, we are using XUnit, and that's my preferred unit testing framework is XUnit. They actually, it's a little messy at the moment. I'll be honest, because there is two versions of XUnit currently out there. There's version 2, which is the most recent, I guess, long-term version, and then V3 is the newest. And V3 is basically them moving. It's kind of a big migration, but like the framework in general is pretty consistent between the two. So if you're starting brand new, I would just hop in on V3 and not even worry about V2. And if you ever need to work on a project that uses V2, it won't be an issue for you. You'll still be able to work in it effectively. There is also there's kind of two other popular .NET unit test frameworks. There's MS Test, which is obviously Microsoft's. MS Test, I have not used it a ton. When I started writing .NET, I thought it was pretty bad. The last time I used it, probably a year ago, I thought this is totally fine. And then the last unit test framework that's out there that's pretty popular is InUnit. And a lot of people like InUnit. It was initially a port from JUnit, as Google tells us. So if you're coming from a Java world at all, the InUnit would be very familiar to you if you had previously had experience with JUnit. So any of those three, are usable and useful. I just prefer XUnit. Now let me throw a whole big curveball at you, and tell you that historically, test frameworks in .NET have been based on a platform called VS Test. And Microsoft last year decided they were going to migrate away from that platform. They were going to introduce a new platform called Microsoft, I think it's called Microsoft.testing.platform. And this migration, I think, was largely a way to decouple the testing experience in .NET from VS Test, which obviously, as you can tell by the name, has some historical ties to the old .NET, like .NET Framework and Visual Studio and Windows. And so Microsoft Testing Platform is just kind of a way to move away from that. So there's there's been basically a new library that's kind of emerged that's built on top of this new platform called TUnit. I know, right? XUnit, TUnit, and Unit, called TUnit. And it is getting popular fairly quickly. So it's very similar. TUnit is very similar to XUnit in a lot of ways. It does have its own set of assertions. So it has an assertion library that comes with it that you can use. And it's all asynchronous. It's very heavily performance oriented. It supports AOT, it supports trimming, it's just got a bunch of the newer .NET features considered during its development. So it's pretty cool. So those, I think you'd be fine looking at any of those: XUnit, InUnit, TUnit, and then I would probably put MS Test at the bottom of the list myself, but I would encourage you to kind of explore each one and get a feel, because you'll likely find one that you gravitate more than others, as we all do. Muaz, hey bro, how are you? I'm good. Yeah, man, I can't complain. Life's good. Sorry, I gotta go for a moment, but I'll be back for a little. Yeah, of course, Gun. Do your thing, man. Live your life. No worries here. Muaz, how long have you been coding for? So I've told this story a couple different times on stream, so I'll try not to belabor the point too much. I will say there is a video on my YouTube channel that's like kind of a story time video where I walk through that, so I'll just call that out real quick. It's called, I think, How I Learned to Code, I think is what I called it. Yeah. So this one goes into a little bit more of a story time. Obviously, I'm happy to answer any questions you have, but this is kind of the story time video. Short answer is I've been coding probably seriously, I would say, since 2021, so like spring of 2021. However, that's always like that. That basically is like me saying I've only been coding for 5-ish years, which isn't really fair to say because, well, I guess it is fair to say, but it's not totally reflective of the whole story. I went to school for biochemistry, and so as part of my electives for that degree, when I was a senior in college, I took Computer Programming 1 and Computer Programming 2 in the fall and the spring semesters, respectively. So I spent, 9 months or whatever, writing C# across those two courses. So that was an introduction to programming in a lot of ways. And then at some point in 2018, I took a course from Duke University that taught the basics of like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it's like I kind of had exposure to programming earlier than 2021, but the spring of 2021 was really when I got like super serious about it, if that's helpful. Oh, then I don't like anymore TUnit now. Yeah, TUnit, I used TUnit on one project and I really enjoyed it. I still tend towards XUnit. So XUnit version 3 supports Microsoft.testing.platform. So if you want to use, and I'm sure InUnit's working on supporting it, or maybe they already do. But so if you want to use that new platform, you can, using XUnit. But TUnit is a good experience. I mean, it's hard. It's one of those things that's like pick the flavor you like, because I think all of them are good enough. My favorite things about XUnit are it's parallelized, parallelized out of the box, and then it also has a really simple approach to doing test setup and test teardown, which I really like. There's no like special wizardry. They use the disposable pattern for teardown, and they use the test classes constructor for setup, which makes it really straightforward to kind of understand how your test is wired together. I hope AI doesn't steal our jobs in the programming industry. I don't think it's. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not going to steal jobs. It's obviously going to take some jobs. Businesses, CEOs, board of directors, they right now feel a lot of pressure to have a compelling story. To have a compelling story about AI. Whether that compelling story be about how they use AI in the products and services they sell, or how they use AI to provide the product and services they sell, but there's a lot of pressure, right? And a lot of AI tools and a lot of AI tooling is particularly aimed at the software engineer, software developer space. So if you're in that world, you're going to get the brunt of, hey, you need to adopt these tools, unfortunately. And then somewhere along the lines, the business needs to justify the expense. And so they're probably going to 9 times out of 10 justify that expense through some form of cost cutting rather than some form of like just outputting more work. So it probably will take some jobs, but not in the way that people think. It's not like you're actually replacing an engineer. It's just more of like a market decision, like an economic market decision. It's definitely going to change the way engineers work. Almost everybody is probably going to use some form of AI IntelliSense or tab completion, whatever you want to call that functionality. But I think if you enjoy programming and you enjoy being a developer, you enjoy solving problems with the code, I don't think that those opportunities are going to disappear in the next decade or next 2 decades. I think we've got time. Abdullah, wow, that's very interesting. Thank you for the information. I'm thinking of buying the book Unit Testing Principles, Practices and Patterns by Vladimir Korykov to learn unit testing. Go for it, man. I would never dissuade you from purchasing a book. So if you got your eye on one, do it. You'll be better for it. Regardless of how good the book is, you'll be better for it because you'll inevitably learn something. MS Test is great if you don't have internet connection. Yeah, fair enough. Let's see, Jerry, flashback. Are you a QA, not developer? Yeah, so my day job, you guys can creep on my LinkedIn. So my day job is I work in our QA department. So I do both manual and automated testing for basically a web-based SaaS application. But yeah, if you go to linkedin.stephenfreeborn.com, I'm kind of an open book. You can creep on my professional resume, my job history there if you want. And I like to do web development and programming and stuff in my free time. So maybe at some point I'll work as a developer, like a official, developer title or software engineer title. But I like what I do right now. I mean, it's very interesting. The job I have and the type of product we make is very challenging to do automation against, and I still get paid to write code. I still have plenty of time in my free time to explore the things I want. I like the people I work with. Atul Pally. Hello, Stephen. How are you today? I'm good, man. I'm getting caffeinated. I've been running my mouth a lot. I haven't written any code yet. But yeah, it's good. Why not a developer? You're good at it. Just because, like I said, it's really just because I like what I'm doing. I don't really feel the need to move out of what I'm doing. my job's challenging. I like the people I work with. I like my team. Um, I still get to write code and build things in my free time whenever I want, however I want. So I guess the thing is, I feel like I feel like I get to have my cake and eat it too, in a lot of ways. So, but maybe one day. By the way, I also learned and got my first internship around 2021. Nice, very cool, man. Yeah, so we're on a similar timeline. AI will take some jobs, so apparently people will have to use AI tools to keep up with the speed. Yeah, and I just think so much of it right now is less about actually leveraging AI in like positive ways. And there's so much around it that's just people want to be able to talk about, they just want to be able to talk about AI, right? So there's a lot of pressure. I think CEOs and board of directors, executives of companies feel a lot of pressure that if they're asked about how their organizations are becoming AI native, right? Or how their organizations are using AI to accelerate their businesses, I think CEOs, these executives, feel pressure to have a compelling story. So regardless of whether or not AI is replacing jobs or actually making people more effective or whatever, they just have to do something. They have to buy AI products from some provider and they have to implement them in some way so that they can talk about them. I feel like it's very akin to like the cloud native thing that happened a decade ago, where for better or worse, like companies felt like we have to move from on-prem to the cloud because that's what everybody else is doing. That's what investors want. That's the story that people are interested in hearing about. And that's the market at play. That's there's nothing you can do about it. And at some point, we'll be on the other side of this hype cycle. At some point, there will be economic turbulence. Um, there will be a consolidation of the AI. The people who do the large language models, the people who build AI tools. There'll be a consolidation of these things. Kind of winners will emerge, and we will return to sort of some level of reasonability around AI. It'll happen. It might take a few more years. Um, I do the same, but I don't like to test repetitive work. Um, yeah, I don't know if I mean, yeah, manual testing can definitely be repetitive. If you're doing the same manual testing all the time, that is very boring. And my thought would be if you're doing manual repetitive tests, those need to be automated. You know, whether whether they be automated by moving the logic that you're testing to unit tests or by actually writing some sort of integration or if you're talking about an API, this could be actually having your service deployed and actually making API requests against a live API. If we're talking about like unit testing some core piece of business logic and you want to do that like down at the method level, so you're writing some unit tests, that's fine too. But yeah, manual repetitive testing should be automated. However, there is testing that's actually fun to do. Like when we build new features where I work, when we build new features, that's fun to test, right? You get to be the first person to get hands-on looks at these things, provide feedback, work through the rough edges of things. So that stuff's fun. Like the exploratory nature of testing can be fun. Um, thinking about the different ways a user might interact with a new feature and how it integrates with existing functionality, how might it break, what weird or strange things what might a user do. That part of manual testing is pretty fun. It's the it's the let me fill out this form and click this button for the 100th time. That's boring, and that's why things like Playwright can help save your sanity, and then also things like unit testing where you're moving the thing that you're trying to test, right? Maybe you're trying to test it through an end-to-end test, but it's slow and it takes a lot of time and it's more difficult to write and maintain. perhaps you can take that and move it down into a unit test that sits alongside your code, and saves you a lot of trouble. Rita or Retta, thanks for the subscription. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. All right, I think I was before I started running my mouth and answering questions, I was kind of giving you guys the lowdown on what I'd done here, and I was talking about this research agent that I've been working on, and what I was going to point out, because I'd said that I had spent like a couple hours on Wednesday night or Thursday night being super frustrated about this. So apparently, I think this is really dumb, but apparently the Gemini API, you cannot do tool usage with a structured output, right? So most of the LLM providers now allow you to force the model to respond with JSON or JavaScript object notation for like a structured output, which is great. The shitty part with the Gemini API is you can't do both at the same time. So you can't ask it to do tool usage and then also do structured output. So in order to implement the web search functionality, or to have the web search functionality as part of my researcher, I actually have to make two calls, or I basically have to take two turns with Gemini, where I have to basically send an initial message where it's going to do the research, and then I have to send a follow-up message that has the research response, and then ask it to basically output that as JSON, which is kind of painful. And I'm hoping maybe this gets fixed in a future iteration of the API. But yeah, that's why this note is gonna forever live here. Okay, so that's that. I think that kind of summarizes most of the things I worked on. I did also add some unit tests. Going back to our question about testing, I do have some unit tests set up. I have some integration tests set up so that I can sort of experiment with each of the agents independently, right? So I don't have to run the full application to, test out an agent or test out its prompts. I added a way to persist for like debugging purposes. I did add a way to persist the agent responses. Where is that? Yeah, it's over here. So I basically added this way to say, if I have an option set in my settings file, I can write basically the conversation, I guess you could say, to a file on disk, so that if I need to, I can go and see like what messages went to the model and what was its response, which will be kind of nice as we get into the process of trying to like improve the prompts themselves over time. It'd be a nice thing to have. So yeah, that's basically I did what I did while I was away. It's not a whole ton, but it's progress nonetheless. Come on, Steven, you can start. You can do it. I believe in you. I appreciate the encouragement. Where to start? It's too late. 4 years as a QA. Well, I don't think that's too late. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you need to switch. If you want to be in QA, be in QA, But there's no reason why you can't acquire whatever skill set you need if you want to make that transition. Like always, man, you're the best. Well, that's too kind. I don't think I'm the best, but that's very kind of you. I will. Okay, so where I left off was the research agent is currently broken, I think. So I think it currently throws an exception um, if we try to test it. So real quick, hold on, let me open this in VS Code real quick, make sure all my settings are populated. I need an API key at some point in here, and I don't want to leak that. Okay, that's all set. Good. Good deal, good deal. Alright, let's see if it will build. Obviously, that's probably step numero uno. Can we build this thing? Okay. And then we'll do .NET test -- filter. And I always screw this up. I can never remember. I think it's like fully qualified name. And then if I want to do like basically the fully qualified name of the test class needs to contain integration .research, I think is how I do this. I'm pretty sure this will throw. It has something to do with like how the response from the model is being deserialized, and I haven't quite figured out what I screwed up. There we go. This is what I was expecting. Yeah, so you can see it has something to do with deserialization. I need to figure out though what the response looks like. Like what's the raw underlying response? This is that Gemini.net library. So it basically does a mapping between the Microsoft Extensions.ai abstractions and the actual concrete Gemini abstractions. All right, real quick, here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna go to our agent. And so instead of returning the formatted response, we're going to comment that out. And we are just going to return the raw response. And then we're going to capture the output. So if I go down here to my test settings file, actually, whoops, I don't want to show that on stream. There's an API key in there. So if I go code, and let's see, we're gonna set that to true. So basically, when I run my tests, I have this setting that I can set here that basically says, hey, if capture responses is set to true, then whenever I'm running a test, I'm going to capture whenever I'm doing an integration test to Gemini, where I actually send a request and get a response, I'm going to persist all that information to disk so that I can kind of debug things, troubleshoot things a little easier. I can use the debugger too, but this was the approach I took. So Control Tab. Run this again. What has happened? Unused field formatting options. Research agent. can fix that with a quick comment, can't we? Oh man, it's so good to be back to my regular setup. You don't realize how much you enjoy your routine and your space until you're away from it. Okay, so that worked. So let's see what the model gave us. So now if we go into our .NET, there should be a new file here, just a text file. So this basically tells us, so there was no existing thread. Here's the message that we sent to the user. Or I mean, here's the message we sent to the LLM. And then here's the response we got back. So this is kind of what I was saying earlier about, this is the text response, right? So this text response is grounded in, this text response is grounded potentially with search results, which I'm not actually asking it to give me any of those search results. I just want it to formulate its answer with those search results if it needs to. And so what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to convert it to a JSON structure, right? I basically want to have it in a structured way instead of just having it in plain text. And so whenever I'm doing something wrong or I'm not accounting for something, because whenever I introduce the second call where I get the formatted response, we are erroring. OBS is disconnecting. And OBS is reconnected. I wonder if it's because I have Tailscale connected. Do you think that's why that does that sometimes? Maybe, I don't know. In any event, so this is the problematic call, because now if I rerun my tests, you're gonna see it blows up in a big fiery ball of glory. All right, you know what this means? It's time for a refill. It's time to get more coffee. I'm debating on working today. Also. Okay, so what we need to do is we're either gonna need to attach our debugger, or we're gonna have to go start printf debugging. Radio over events. Thought that was a shot. It does kind of look like a shot, doesn't it? It's like a little small little. Yeah, I always feel so stupid carrying it around because like I'm not like a super big guy, you know, but like I weigh probably 250, 245, you know, so I'm bigger. And so I always feel stupid when I'm walking around my house with this tiny little cup. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Tommy Boy with Chris Farley, but there's this scene where he like puts on a jacket that's way too small for him. Let's see if we can find the clip. Chris Farley jacket. Yeah, a fat guy in a little coat. This is the scene. He basically puts this jacket on. It's way too small for him. It's really fun. It's way more funny in the context of the movie. But every time I walk around my house with my coffee cup, I think, big guy with a little cup. Great movie, though. If you haven't seen that movie, you should go watch it. Yeah, Shudo knew exactly what I was talking about. Print statements all the way, bro. It's what they do in Fang. I tell you what, print statements all the way. If you're a NeoVim user, I guarantee you the vast majority of NeoVim users do printf debugging, because getting a debugger set up for NeoVim is not trivial. It is, regardless of whatever language you're using, it's not trivial. Hey, Wilo Gamer Pro, how are you? Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, so I think we will go the console.route the console.writeline route. So I actually have the underlying library that I'm using to talk to Gemini. I actually have it forked locally for this exact purpose. Excuse me. So we're gonna go in here. And we're gonna add some print statements. So this is where the request to Gemini gets made. And so what I'm most interested in is the response. So create content request async. And this, what is this type here? This is generate content response type. So let's go to this definition. And what I'd like to see is I'd actually like the underlying response. Yep, this is the response message. So I think what I can do here is I can say var text equals await response.content.read. Yep, read as stream. We'll pass in the cancellation token. And then I'm just going to say console.writeline, and then we'll print the text. And I'm pretty sure in XUnit, I need to probably go read their docs, but I'm pretty sure in XUnit I can capture the console output with some sort of attribute, if I remember right. So if we come into our tests, that doesn't sound good. If we come to our test file, if we come to our test file, I'm pretty sure, yes, this attribute, I have that on already. So I think with this attribute set, if I remember right, this is a XUnit version 3 thing. So XUnit version 3. I'm pretty sure, I think it's down here, capturing output. XUnit.v3 introduces the ability to capture output that is written to console debug trace through 2 assembly level attributes. Let's see, only standard error, only standard output. Both standard output and standard error. This is what I want. So this attribute will capture output to both standard out and standard error by default. All right, so let's rerun our test and let's see if we see the output. I would still expect an exception, but I would expect us to at least see a couple print statements now. Okay, so it still failed, but we do have an output here. So this is I think this is the response to our initial. Oh my God, this is horribly long. Those are all the those are all the web search results, is what that is. So there's 2. There should be 2. This is correct. So there are 2 responses. which is good. So this is the initial text response, right? This is what we're getting back from. This is why print. This what's on my screen right now. This is why printf debugging sucks. Particularly for this use case. Just dumping things out to console isn't the most efficient. Okay, so this is the initial response, right, where we have our web search. The one thing, though, I don't like... So we come down... Okay, so now we're down here. Oh, is this the same output? So this is response ID QQ. So we come down here. Is this the same? Oh, that's the okay. So this is the same output. I think it's just showing it once when it actually happens, and then once when the test finishes. So we aren't actually making. We're not even getting to a. We're not even getting to a response, or we're not even getting to a second request. Where did we make that change? We made it in here. Okay, so console.writeLine. I'm just gonna say received response. Hi, Mr. Dev. Do Swedish people... First of all, I don't know why you would ask me. I'm not... This is not the right stream to find that answer. One, I'm not Sweden, and I've never been to Sweden. I don't really even know anybody really from Sweden, so I don't know. You need to take a vacation to Sweden, or you need to find a streamer who's Swedish and ask him. Yeah. Okay. So we only we must be. Our problem then must be. I need to look at the stack trace a little clearer. So we have run core async, get response async, create mapped generate content request. Create mapped generation configuration. Create mapped response schema. So this is where. So something is getting screwed up. Okay. This is all clear as mud. Something is getting screwed up with how we're doing the response schema. So we have research agent response. And we need to see how does this library create that. So what is it? Create mapped where is it? There you go, response schema. So if response format is null, we return null. If response format is meai.chat response format schema, and the JSON element is schema, then we say schema from element. And this is library code. This is not his code. This is, now we are in somebody's Microsoft code, I think. Right? Oh no, this is his code. This is his code. Okay, so what has he done in here? He wrote his own schema, something or other. This is an abstract class, so um, oh no, this is source generated. This is source generated. Never mind. This is source generated. So it is in this code, but it's source generated, or it's used in source generation. Wow, he's handling all these things very explicitly. Okay, well, this is the not fun part of programming. Or it could be, or in my case, it's actually the fun part, because this is the fun part is digging into a problem and understanding why it's happening. But probably to the outside world, this is the not fun part of programming, right? People are probably like, why would you want to be up at 5:25 a.m. trying to figure out why there's an issue converting from one schema to another? Okay, research agent response. Let's make sure I'm not doing anything funky here that I'm not doing somewhere else. So this is the same approach. From JSON schema. Writer agent response, yep. Yeah, I mean there's nothing. It's basically the same exact thing. Oh, I do need to move this to its own file though. Namespace. Also, I need to go refill my coffee, so let me move this really quick. And then I think we're gonna go refill our coffee. So let's look at the research agent response. This just has brief. Okay. I don't think that would have anything to do with it. Try again. Yes, all my... Okay. Well, I guess we have some experts on the state of drug use in Sweden in the chat here. You should go to Sweden and ask them about Danish people. I feel like that's a trap. Hey, that's my library. I didn't give you permission to use it. What are you talking about, Shudo? He's matching the strings raw. No try, no radix. I don't know what try or radix are. I thought radix was a UI library. Yeah, that's a UI library, isn't it? Oh. Fair enough. Sometimes the jokes go over my head. Okay, from JSON element, let's see, line 68. Line 68. This is where relative line numbering is not really helpful. Okay, how do I jump to 68? I guess I can go 68J, right? That'll take me down 68J. Okay, so element get property name. We really need to see what property we're erroring on, huh? When we throw. Let's do console. Let's see. Type property name. Because that's what's throwing. So let's see. If I remember correctly, a trie is a string tree where each node holds 26 subnodes, one for each letter, and edges would be reached in a string built via iterating the nodes. Interesting. I never actually heard of that. So, new fun fact. A trie. Well, this is not helpful. Type. Why is it trying to... Okay, I'm gonna go fill my... Before I hang in here more... Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go fill up my coffee cup really quick. Split pane up. And we'll say be right back. Went to get coffee. Nice and big. So that people that are scrolling by. Excuse me. So people that are scrolling by know why it's an empty screen. Okay, I'm going to be right back. I am going to roll an ad real quick, so if you guys need to go, I get it, but I'll be right back. I wish I was making a large pot of coffee. It's actually, the espresso machine was not cooperating, but I finally got it made. Wayfaring, Tenno, you're into books? I like books, yeah. Hey, Veds Improv, and good to see you, man. How is life? I don't understand how a JSON element doesn't have a type. Element dot... Oh, because you're looking for a type property. Is there a way to just print a JSON? Let's do that. Opinion on mobile development. I think mobile development looks cool. I've never done any of it though. That's the thing. One of my favorite YouTubers, Web Dev Cody, which by his name you can tell I think he primarily has always done web development content. He actually just posted a video where he was doing like, it looked like maybe he was doing React Native development, so like mobile development but using React. Yeah, he's got a couple videos up right now that show him working on a mobile app, and which I think is cool. I've just never kind of taken that side quest, if you know what I mean, you know. But I probably should at some point. I mean, if you want to have, I think if you want to, I guess here's probably a good take on the subject. I think if you want to have a popular product for consumers, you probably need to have a mobile app. And I say that primarily from the standpoint of, when I look at most of my traffic to like my website or my YouTube channel or really anything I put on the internet, most of that traffic is coming from mobile devices. So the vast majority of consumers, right, people who are consuming things, are likely consuming it on a mobile device. They're not using a tablet or an iPad or a laptop computer. Meaning, if you're building something that's aimed towards consumers, you probably want a website, right? You probably want a web app, but you probably also need a mobile client. I think that's less true if you're building a tool for developers or creators, or if you're building something that's more work-oriented. I think that's probably less the case, because then that audience probably doesn't just use a mobile device to do that work. So I think from that, if you believe that, which I do, then it kind of behooves you to know how to do mobile development, right? In my opinion. What's the plan for today? So the plan for today is to get hydrated, get caffeinated, and try to sort of figure out what the hell is going on with my code that's causing this error that you see on the screen right now. Okay, so I just want to basically turn the JSON element into, I want to see what this is. What is this element? So C# JSON element serialized to JSON string. Oh, is it really that simple? I can just do toString. Yeah, I probably don't even need to call that since I'm passing it to console.writeLine. Can't find any good Linux games? Interesting. Yeah, I've never really gamed on a Linux machine before, so I've never had that particular problem. Eufy? Eufy? I've never heard of that game. UEFI? What does that stand for? Okay, so the last thing we printed was array items. Well, obviously, okay, so this should have a type, right? Like these all have types. Type name. So why is it throwing? That doesn't make any sense. The given key was not present in the dictionary, and that is coming from schema, line 6-9, get property. Array schema.create. I'm so confused. Schema info. Where are we getting the schema info? Schema info from JSON element is nullable. So are you telling, so what you're telling me is that if I remove items, I apologize. I know this is not very exciting stuff, but research agent. Agent run response. Research agent response. What if I do response? Can I? Let's see. No, I think I want the text. I think that's right. Okay, so we have brief, and then if we go into research brief, we have supporting data. Citation. Yeah, I don't understand why it's tripping over this. I guess let me just do some little bit of what do you want to call this? Process of elimination. So I guess let me just remove these properties and see if that's what's causing the the hiccups in the serialization or the schema creation. I can't lie. About a year ago, I installed Ubuntu, have just been so comfortable. I've got a dual boot if I want to game, but I really do wish Linux had more support from NVIDIA directly. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with Ubuntu. I think it's a good distro. A lot of people like to shit on it, but I think it's a perfectly fine distro. All right, so then now everything works. So let's look real quick at our those that agent response file that I'm printing as part of my tests. Perfect. So now I'm getting my structured response, which is what I want. However, I need to make it needs to be more complex, right? I want those other properties. So research agent response. Let me add in additional resources and see if that screws anything up. It's weird because basically the error that I'm getting is basically that a particular element in my schema doesn't have a type property, which I don't understand how that's possible. If it's a JSON schema, it should have a type property, right? Excuse me. All right, Gatorade finished. Orange has been eaten. We're 2 shots of espresso in. We're printf debugging our way through an issue here. It's an epic morning. Tell you what, running inference against models though is slow. Let's see, we're 68 seconds in, 70 seconds in. We're only making 2 calls, but we are sending quite a bit of information in the context. So we have type, array, items, type, object. Okay. Perfect. So I think what's happening is basically this might be a bug. This might be a bug in their code. So essentially what's happening is when I introduce this research points property, right? We are introducing these. We're introducing a type into the schema that has these 3 properties, which all share the same type. And so instead of when the JSON schema gets created, instead of redeclaring the type of these items every single time, what the JSON schema does is it actually points to a ref So if you're not familiar with JSON schema, I know some of you are probably like, why is he explaining this to me? I'm just kind of talking through it for my own benefit. But JSON schema provides this ability to sort of declare types once and then reference those types from other places in your schema. So you can do things like, let's see, $ref. Yeah, this. So you can have address as a ref, and then you can declare that later in your code. So let's see. Do they give an example of this? They don't show the refs array. Where's the schema? I don't know why they don't show it. But in any event, that's, for whatever reason, that's what's screwing up the schema logic he has written is getting screwed up by that, essentially. So when he's creating his schema logic, and when I say he, I'm referring to the author of this library. He's basically assuming that every single one is going to have a type, and so if it doesn't have a type, then it throws. And in the case of this ref pattern, there is no type. And I think I can prove this really quick with a really simple modification to my code. So if I do, come down here. So I think if I take out these two properties, I think it'll work. So we'll run our tests again. And I'm thinking this will work. Hey, Stefan, how are you, man? Good to see you. Sorry. Let's see. I'm new here. What's the objective of Casper? Hey, Radio. No big deal. That's a perfectly valid question. So, as somebody else mentioned in the chat, the purpose of it is basically to help me write blogs. I don't want it to write blogs for me, but I want it to help me kind of act as like my ghostwriter. You know how like a lot of, not a lot, but I should say some famous people who write books don't actually sit down and write the books. They talk to a writer, like they have a discussion or an interview with a writer who basically asks them questions to extract information, and then the writer sort of synthesizes that out, right? And then the famous person or the celebrity or whoever hired the ghostwriter then reads what was written and sort of edits it to make sure it sounds like them and reflects their true opinions. And so I'm basically trying to recreate that for myself using an LLM. That's basically the idea. And I tried to illustrate this with a little bit of a work diagram here, which it needs to be updated a little bit. But basically, when my application starts up, and it'll just be a CLI to start with. It'll start up and it'll basically act like an interviewer. And then once the agent feels like it has enough information to start writing or to start a draft, it will then kind of go through this workflow of researching the topic, drafting a blog post, then editing that blog post and critiquing it to make sure that obviously it's like grammatically and correct and doesn't have spelling errors. And then the critic will kind of analyze it to make sure it has the right style and tone, so that kind of matches existing stuff that I've written. And then eventually I'll get some sort of draft output that I can review. So that's the idea. It's basically since I don't have the money to hire a writer or work with a writer, can I use an LLM to kind of recreate that? I did a similar thing with with video content where I wanted to be able to chop up my streams into smaller clips on YouTube, but it's oftentimes difficult for me to remember what I did in any particular stream after a couple days have passed. And I don't have a mod or like an editor, right? That like my channel's too small. There's no reason for that at this moment. So I did something very similar for video content, and so I'm just trying to recreate that experience for blog content a little bit. And I should also say the whole the whole impetus for this project was so that I could learn this new agent framework. So, if you're interested in building things with AI, Microsoft released this new agent framework last week, 7 days ago, 8 days ago now. That is trying to make it and it does. It makes it much simpler to implement agentic workflows and AI agents in code than if you had to write all the boilerplate yourself. Okay, that worked. It worked. So it worked, and the reason why it worked is because I only have one place where I'm referencing the citation type, right? Ashunala, I think is how you say your name. Thanks for the subscription. So I only have one place in my schema where I reference this type, and you can see that here, right? So, right here. Oh, nope, that's not what I'm doing. It's kind of difficult to see in these console logs, but it's got a description, and that description has a type of string, and a source has a type of string. So basically, what it's able to do in the in this guy's code where he's generating the schema, he's taking care of that, right? He looks for the type, and then based on the type of the schema, he does the right thing. So the problem is if I introduce a new excuse me, if I introduce a new property that has that same type, it breaks. And you're going to see why it breaks. Because this output is going to change. So we'll see that in just a second. Let's run this again. It'll take a minute or so to run. Let's see. I'm honestly making it because none have everything. What are you guys talking about? Oh, you're working on the nutrients tracker app. Nice. Very cool. That's a fun project and kind of like in an area of interest. I like it. I've always thought I should build something like that, or maybe like a workout tracker. I feel like that would be a good thing to build as well. Excuse me. Let's see, macros. What are we doing? We're tracking macros. We're tracking vitamins. Graphically represent it and track it. Yeah, I think that sounds like a super fun project. Seems like I'm going to get distracted and now run off and build a workout track. I just feel like as somebody who used to be deep in the fitness space, it's crazy that none of the things I've written in code have been oriented towards the fitness space at all. My favorite tracker is called My Macros Plus. They have a workout app and a nutrition app, but I'm pretty sure it's still built by one individual. He used to be, I think he used to either do bodybuilding or he used to do something in the fitness world, and then he learned how to do iOS development and made My Macros Plus. This is my favorite tracking app. But I'm pretty sure it's still just developed by a single developer. Yeah, his name's Jason. I think Jason Lowry, something like that. But yeah, man, no reason not to. If you can code and you got a vision, no reason to build your own thing, you know? Oh man, I just wiped away the console output. Let me run it again. I think you guys saw what I meant though by... So this is a bug. This is a bug in that library, and so we're gonna have to fix it in order to make this work. Or we're gonna have to come up with some hacky way around it. But I think we should just fix it because other people are probably gonna have this problem. Um, let's see, chat response format from JSON schema. Schema name, schema description. I think we could, so here's the problem, right? Is this right here. So now instead of this being an array of items and those items having a type on it, now those items don't have a type, they have an actual ref, and his code doesn't know what to do with it. So versus like you can see up here for this schema, see how the items array is an actual type, and so he can keep his code can keep like resolving recursively down the schema tree. This one he can't. This one he just errors. So we should probably fix that. I want to see if there's a quick workaround though before we go down that path, because maybe we can get around it. Let's see. Let's see if we can ask Gemini to help us with this one. Let's see, I'm working in C#. I'm using system.text.json to produce a JSON schema from my C# types. However, the schema currently is using the $ref syntax, but I want it not to. Is there some way to force it to inline all type definitions? I mean, using the ref syntax is smart, right? Because you're not repeating yourself, but he kind of is, his code is written in such a way that he expects all the type definitions to just be in line instead of using that ref syntax. So you can achieve this by setting the reference behavior configuration option. This tells the builder to embed the schema for each type directly. Do you think this is a hallucination, or do you think that's real? Well, I'm not using JSON schema.net. I think it I don't think it hallucinated this, but this is not. I'm not using that library. I literally told it too. I was like, I'm not using JSON schema.net. Can I get to this definition? For JSON schema serializer options. For JSON schema. AI JSON utilities create JSON schema. There we go. Create JSON schema. How's it doing this? Create JSON schema core. All these wrapper, all the indirection. It's just there's so much indirection. Also, I think I just killed NeoVim in this tab somehow. Sometimes, I know this is probably weird. Some people are going to think this is weird. But honestly, there are times when I actually prefer reading code or looking at code on GitHub versus in my editor. I'm not really 100% certain why that is. I don't know if it's a context thing, but I almost feel like I follow code, or I follow, or I can read code or parse code or understand code better when I read it on GitHub rather than in my IDE, which is kind of weird. Let's see, we are looking for AI JSON utilities something or other. AI, no, I want to go to file. I don't want to search this. I want to go to file, AI JSON util, this one. No, that's AI JSON utilities. Nope, this is not what I want. Chat response. I think this might be in a different library is why I'm having trouble finding it. Excuse me. Are you able to guess what I make in C#? Probably a video game. Oh, you make game mods? Yeah, that's cool. Okay, where does this come from? Yeah, this comes from Microsoft.extensions.ai. So we need to go see. I'm trying to figure out what API that method call is using under the hood to produce the schema. So Microsoft.extensions.ai GitHub. Yeah, response. Response format. Let's see, so this is where we want for JSON schema. AI JSON utilities create JSON schema. Create JSON schema core. This, I mean, there's definitely times where I'm calling over C# code and I understand why people get frustrated with it. Because there is a lot of indirection. JSON schema core. Where is that defined at? Create JSON schema core. JSON serializer, let's see, serialize to node. For parameters without a type. JSON schema exporter options. Yep. So here's where this is happening. The resulting schema might be a ref using a pointer to a different location in the document. As JSON pointer doesn't support relative paths, parameter schemas need to fix up such paths to accommodate the fact that they're being nested inside of a higher level schema. So this is the bit of code that's causing the difference in behavior whenever we encounter something multiple times. So there's not going to be a way for us to turn that off if we want to keep using their exporter, which we do. So we just need to we're gonna have to fix it. So let's go. We're gonna have to fix it. So let's go to let's open a new tab and let's go into our forked version of this Gemini.net library. So we're gonna go cd into lib, cd into Gemini.net. So this is our forked version, and git diff. Okay, and we're just going to say, what are we going to say? We're going to say git diff, we'll say git stash, because I don't want any of these changes. We'll say git stash drop 0, which is fine. We'll sync our submodule. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll cd out of here. We will cd into our actual fork, Gemini.net. Nope, that's not what I want. And we are going to say git checkout main. Git checkout forked. Git merge main. Is there anything I need to merge in? Okay, so then we'll say git checkout main. And then we'll say git checkout b Stephen Freeborn fix handle JSON schemas with refs. This actually might be a little bit. This actually might be a little involved. So we go into the schema file. We're going to have to say something like let me just write out what I'm thinking. Currently, we expect we expect every element to have a type property. However, the MEAI library implements a custom transformer that is applied to the schema exporter, which produces schemas that contain ref properties instead of type properties when a complex type is used more than once. I think it does it when it's used more than once. I honestly don't. I actually don't know that for certain. Yeah, this is going to be a little. I think this is going to be a little involved to fix without making sure I don't break his existing code. Hey, Stefan, nice emoji use, man. That's a members only emoji. This is my favorite members only emoji. Stefan is also one of our illustrious channel members, which we very much appreciate. There's only 6 people in the entire world that can claim to be channel members. I think it's 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 7. 7 people in the entire world can claim to be channel members. And indeed, it is fire. We do appreciate you, Stefan. Excuse me. Man, they're doing a whole bunch of work here. Look at these notes. Look at these comments. They have to account for, including Ollama. Ollama doesn't support schemas with type array. So let's see. What does if has default value, if type is null? So why would type be null? For parameters without a type, generate a rudimentary schema. Okay. Now, so first things first is I have to schema info. Try get property. Format property. All right, full disclosure, if you're Stefan, was I for the first one to join? I think actually that goes to Fly Fisha. Actually, I think Fly Fisha was the first one. Oh no, you and Fly Fisha joined on the same day. But it looks like I think Fly Fisha beat you to it on that day. It doesn't show me timestamps of when people joined, just that they have joined. and how many days since they joined. Yeah. Okay, so if you just got to the stream, where we are is I know I was working on building a AI agent for my blog. However, excuse me, we have stumped our toe on a bug and not a bug. We have stumped our toe on a limitation of a library we're using, and now we're trying to fix that, improve that library so that we can not stub our toe. But I don't quite yet know how to fix it. So that's I'm reading this other person's code to try to understand what the heck is going on. Okay, so just some pseudocode. So I think we should continue to look for type. But if we can't find type, let's check for ref and process that schema instead. Okay, so the first thing we'll do, the first modification we'll make is we'll say if instead of get property, we'll do try get property. And this will out var type property like that. Now it's going to complain at the moment, but we're going to fix that. We're going to say as type property. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say if it does not have, or let's say if has type property is false, for now we're just going to return. Right? Can we just return? Oh no, it expects us to do some sort of schema. So I guess let's just create an empty object schema and do that. Yeah? That's what we'll do. We'll say return. Is there such a thing? No, there's not. So we'll say if object schema dot create. Is this something he's defined? Oh wow, he's defined all of this. This is pretty crazy. I haven't seen anybody do this like this all by themselves. We basically need to. I am one of the oldest viewers still watching, though. At least give me that. Yeah, you are for sure, Stefan. You for sure are one of the viewers who has been here the longest, and chatters who has been here the longest. I know there's people who watch my stream that don't chat, so I don't want to take anything from them, but yeah, for sure one of the longest. I'm gonna run this again real quick. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research because I don't actually know how to do some of this stuff. Let's see, system.text.json resolve ref. How does that uses ref? Oh, this is type. This is like they're talking about TypeScript. Deserializing reference JSON. Okay. I've recently switched to using JSON with references because I had circular objects. Since you are deserializing into foo, and foo itself doesn't contain a property name foo, I flip the Actually, this is problematic. So this is problematic because I removed that. I removed that print statement. So this is problematic because honestly, I don't have enough information at this point. So when we call from JSON element, we just have the individual element that we're working on at that moment. So I don't actually have access to the references. So I can't actually, even if I find the ref property and get the value, I can't resolve that ref path from within this method. Because this existing code doesn't pass that in, I don't think. Yeah, it just passes in the current element. So we're gonna have to do something else. We're gonna have to do something else. So get stash drop. All right, back to the drawing board here. Okay, this happens when we're going from Microsoft to Gemini. And what do they call this on? So we call this schema, or we create this schema here. So we say create mapped response schema. And then it does some checking and it says, hey, if the chat response format is JSON and the schema is of type JSON element, then we need to say from JSON element schema. Oh, I guess I do have access to the full schema. Do I? Yeah, I should have access to the full schema, I think. Let's see. Oh, he must be doing this recursively, maybe? Go to definition. Console dot write line like that. So initially the type is the initial type is always going to be object, in which case when they say object, you'll say object schema.create. This method is called multiple times, though. So that part I don't understand. I don't understand how this method gets called multiple times. I might need to hook up a debugger to this. Hey, Slappy Bacon. That's a nice username for. It's 6:36 a.m. where I am. That's a pretty good username for. I've been watching your stream for a bit. It's nice to find a fellow C# enjoyer. Yes, we have to stick together. There's not too many of us out there on the interwebs. So yes, nice to meet you. Thanks for hanging out. Liking the vibes. Nice. Very cool. Well, I hope they're good vibes. My hope for the stream has always been that it will be a nice chill place for people to hang out and chat and hopefully drink some coffee too, and maybe even work on some of their own projects if they don't find me yapping too distracting. Oh, this is in the wrong spot. We want this one. I've got two different copies of this repo locally. I have one that my project references, and then I have the actual forked one where I create fixes. Yeah, I don't understand how this gets called multiple times, because it seems like it just gets called once, but I don't see any recursive calls in here. But maybe this object schema does a recursive call. I honestly don't know. But let's run this again. I know it gets, because that print statement runs more than once, I think, doesn't it? Or maybe it doesn't. Any tips on switching to Linux from a developer standpoint? I've been using Windows for years, but I'm feeling the great pull. Yeah, I'm kind of in your boat too. I've never been a daily driver. I've never done Linux as a daily driver. However, all the stuff that's going on with DHH and the all the stuff that's been going on with DHH and the Omarchy, or I think is how you say it, Omarchy. It's not really a distribution, but sort of a distribution. It's like a flavor of Arch Linux, right? It's like, I think they use Arch Linux as like the base distro and then they've put a bunch of stuff on top of it. Seeing all the content that people are making and screenshots and videos that people are doing that kind of showing their setup with it, it's I feel the same pull. um, I think from a developer standpoint, it should be probably a pretty straightforward switch. I mean, from a C# perspective, .NET's all cross-platform now, um, so you should be fine when you make the switch over. Might have to get used to using a different shell if you can't use the same shell that you already use on Windows. But if you're on PowerShell, you can use PowerShell on Linux, and then obviously if you're using Git Bash or something like that, that's a really easy switch. I think this is all one statement. So let me put this in a JSON Explorer viewer. JSON viewer. Guys, I'll be completely honest, chat. It's unlikely I'm going to solve this. I'm going to solve this today. But hopefully, if we can figure this out, hopefully we can fix this for some other folks out there that might stub their toe with this same thing. Is this valid? So how do we format this? Format. Oh, is this not valid? JSON? Oh, so is that all one? Maybe I'm an idiot. Is this all one print statement? I don't think it is. Well, there's an easy way to figure this out, isn't there? We can say we can go up here and just say current element like so. In full disclosure, this is not the most efficient way to go about addressing this. You should do as I say, not as I do. The most efficient way to address this would be to hook up a debugger and step through all this stuff instead of trying to print it out and make sense of it on the terminal. We should just hook up a debugger. But my debugger looks very ugly when I stream because I'm working with this very narrow... yeah, okay, so it is getting called multiple times. So I don't understand how it's getting called. So, first thing I need to figure out is how is this getting called multiple times? Because I don't understand. That's first and foremost, we need to figure that out. Oh, I saw you using the terminal. Assumed you're on Linux. That's definitely a fair assumption. But I'm on a Windows machine actually. I'm on Windows 11. This is Windows Terminal with PowerShell, and then I have NeoVim running in PowerShell, which everyone always is like, that's a really weird setup. But it's, I'm guessing I'm like you in that I've been developing on Windows primarily ever since I started writing code, and I've just come to enjoy it. It's familiar, and I wanted to use NeoVim, so I configured and set up NeoVim to be compatible with my Windows setup. I did have to patch a couple NeoVim plugins because there was a couple NeoVim plugins that I used that got fucked up by the difference in the path separators, which I mean that's a pain in the butt everywhere, right? Windows uses these backwards slashes, and then everybody else uses the forward slashes, and so I had to patch a couple libraries to like conditionally check what OS they were running on, which wasn't terribly difficult, but that was about the only real challenge I had when I was setting up NeoVim that actually required me to actually make like modifications to NeoVim related things. But for the most part, it just kind of works. But one of these days, I'll my thinking at the moment, thinking of trying it soon as a challenge. I'll let you know how. Yeah, definitely. If you do try it, let me know. My thinking at the moment when it comes to Linux as a daily driver is I'd like to. So I have right now. My laptop is where is it? This is my current laptop that I use. It is it's probably 2 years old now, maybe more than that. It's an Asus ZenBook, and it's been a nice laptop. I've enjoyed it, uh, but it's probably getting close to the time for an upgrade. And I think what I'm going to do is the next laptop I get, I think is going to be it will either be a framework computer or some other Windows machine, some other PC. But I think my commitment is whenever I do upgrade that next laptop, I will run Linux on that laptop. I think is what I'm going to do. Which probably won't be for another year or so because I literally just spent $1,500 on a NAS. I haven't set it up yet. I'm thinking I'm going to set up the NAS either tonight on stream or tomorrow on stream at some point. I get the hard drives for it today. But I just spent $1,500 on that computer, so I think I probably will wait at least a few months before I drop another $1,000 on another computer. What was I doing? Oh, I know what I was doing. Mm. And I should also say for those who might not be aware of what a framework computer is, framework is just a brand. I think more and more people are getting introduced to this brand the same way people are getting introduced to Linux from DHH. Um, but this brand, basically, the whole selling point of this brand is like upgradability and maintainability because all the components in it are made to be upgraded and swapped out by the user. So it's kind of a cool like right to repair sort of angle to a brand. And so I'd kind of like to try it. They're a little expensive in my opinion, but obviously it's a smaller company. They're not manufacturing probably at scale, and you're paying a little bit for that. But I think it'd be cool to have one. Where I lost my JSON formatter. Okay, so this is what the schema looks like that we're producing. And the part that's throwing it off is not supporting data. Supporting data is fine. It's this one, expert opinions. So I think so. So basically, what's happening is when they're exporting this schema, they're basically saying, "Oh, this expert opinions has the same shape as the supporting data," and so it's just so basically it's just saying, "Hey, okay, well, you should just go back and look at this path." So it'd say, "Hey, go look at the schema for supporting data items." And so in my code, or in the code that I write, what I need to do is I need to say, "Oh, this doesn't have a type. This object here doesn't have a type. It has a ref. And since it has a ref, we need to resolve this path to the element, to this element. And we need to use that in place of this. It's basically like we just need to swap, right? We just need to replace it. But I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not sure if I get this. Hey, Joe Does AI, thanks for subscribing. I appreciate that. I'm not sure how, if I get this value, I'm honestly not sure how then I look up the corresponding schema. I mean, obviously I could parse this, right? Like obviously I could say, okay, start at the root object, get the properties, get the brief, get the properties of the brief, get, you know what I mean? Like obviously I could do like a, yeah, but I would think this would be something system.text.json can do. Getia is great. Getia? Have you ever heard of Getia? Oh, sorry, Slappy Bacon, I missed your message. No, I've never heard of Get T. Getia enables the creation of management of repositories based on Git. Git with a cup of tea. Painless, self-hosted something. It's a painless, self-hosted, all-in-one software development service, including Git hosting, code review. Oh, that's cool. So it's like your own GitHub? That's cool. Oh, it's written in Go. Nice. Which reminds me, I need to spend some time writing Go. I haven't written Go in probably 3 weeks. And if I don't practice, it's already October 17th. If I don't start practicing, by the time December comes around, there's no way I'm going to be able to do Advent of Code in that language. This looks cool. Is it difficult to self-host? Where's the instructions for self-hosting? Install from source. No, I don't want to install from source. Oh, they have a cloud. They have a cloud version. This kind of, so is this real similar to like, well, I guess it's not really similar though. I've heard of a tool called, shoot. I'm trying to think. It's like Vercel. It's like your own self-hosted version of Vercel, self-hosted Vercel or Netlify. Coolify, that's what it is. Coolify. But I don't think Coolify does, like, you can't have a Git repo. You can deploy from a Git repo, like you can hook Coolify up to a Git repo, but it doesn't actually have that functionality to it. So Git T might even be better because it allows you to do all the Git things, and it looks like it has action support. I've heard it's nice having a NAS with a private Git server. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I didn't even know this existed. I mostly am setting up the NAS mostly because I have like 16 terabytes of footage that's sitting on 4 external hard drives that's not backed up anywhere, and it's a bunch of footage of my kids. So for those that don't know, I'm a 32-year-old dad of 2, and so I just have a bunch of footage that's like from ages 0 to like 4 to 6 that's sitting on these hard drives, and so I'm mainly setting up the NAS for that, and maybe use it for some self-hosted projects and stuff. But this would be cool to set up for sure. How difficult is it to deploy? How to, like, does it run in Docker? Installation from binary, run as a Linux service. Here we go. Yeah, I would probably run it as a Docker container. The most basic step, create a volume in a network, then paste the following content in a Docker Compose file. For stable release, you could use latest rootless or specify certain release, yada, yada, yada. Postgres, MySQL. So what does it store data in by default? Does it just use like SQLite? Oh, there it is. Using SQLite 3. Okay. It would probably be nice to use an external database though if you can afford it. You've completely distracted me, Slabby Bacon. I'm gonna have to remember this. Let me bookmark this really quick. Get T done. To be honest though, I only have about 4 more minutes of streaming, and then I'm gonna go get ready for work. Your own? Oh yeah, okay, we figured that out. I just used Claude Code to get it done. I'm building a vibe coding tool and needed to host all the repositories I'm generating. Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah, that's super cool. So your vibe coding tool actually creates repositories of the different stuff it vibe codes. So but is your vibe coding tool basically like run git commands to when it does things like check out a branch, make changes, commit, that sort of thing? Because that sounds like a very cool use case for it. That way you're not having to use GitHub's API and deal with all those shenanigans. Okay, so I think I could probably use Google for this, but I'm just gonna use Gemini. So I'm gonna say, how do I? Let's see. I'm using system.text.json. JSON in C#, and I need to take a ref path and get the corresponding, I guess, element, I guess would be the right term, JSON element for that path. How would I do this? For example, I'm trying to avoid basically implementing my own solution because I got to imagine other people have had to do this, and so there's got to be an easy way to do it, and I just don't know about it because I've never had to do it before. Okay, if ref path starts with this, okay, split the path into segments. Oh man, this is kind of, so there's no built-in way to do it? Are you kidding me? There's gotta be a built-in. Are you telling me there's no existing support for parsing refs like this in C#? I'd rather not have to implement my own solution. Well, I guess at some point I was reading a GitHub issue, wasn't I? At some point I had found a GitHub issue where they were talking about this. Preserve reference resolver. The default reference resolver to handle duplicate object references. Hey, Stefan, good to see you, man. You're back just in time for me to be like, hey, I have to go get ready for work. Oh, Sloppy Bacon, you should never feel sorry for distracting. That's totally fine. That's the whole point of the stream. You know, if I wanted to really go heads down on a problem or something, like I shouldn't stream, right? Because that's dumb. It's dumb to like be here coding and ignoring you guys. So you guys are always welcome to. And plus, 9 times out of 10, I probably get more out of the stream than I give because you guys introduce me to cool stuff like GitT. Okay, well, we made absolutely no progress on Casper. And the only thing we did identify is there's a limitation of the underlying library that I'm using to talk to the Gemini API, and I need to implement some code to get around that. So I don't know. I might try to do that today so that when we get back on stream tomorrow morning, we're not dealing with that blocker. Maybe I just walk you guys through what I did to fix it. In any event, I do need to probably run upstairs and take a shower and get ready for work. So. You too, Stefan. You guys have a great day. All right, I'm gonna jump here, but I really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me and keeping me company and making the stream fun and enjoyable. Without you all, it would not be interesting, or as interesting, I guess. All right. Well, I think that's where I'll leave you. Radio's Revenge. I hope you have a great day. Slappy Bacon, have a good day. Stefan, thanks for being a member, man. I appreciate you. Super kind, as always. And I will be back probably tomorrow morning. Just as far as housekeeping goes, normally I stream, or right now my stream schedule is like 4 a.m. Central Standard Time to 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, thereabouts. The best place to kind of interact with me or keep up with chat outside of the stream is our Discord server. Obviously, no pressure. You don't have to join that, but I'll just drop the link. It's super easy to remember. It's just discord.stephenfreeborn.com. That'll get you to the right place. And otherwise, I'll see you probably tomorrow morning or maybe in a short today or in a video, something like that. In any event, have a nice day. I hope you guys kill it. All right. Bye. See y'all.